So welcome to another segment of my mathematics videos as we continue looking at standard deviation. So this is another question that came in the ECZ exam. So I just want to guide you on how you can go about it. So remember, there are two methods. I'm still looking at the first method just so that you get to familiarize yourself. So it says a farmer planted 60 fruit trees in a certain month. So there were 60 fruit trees in a certain month, and the number of fruits per tree was recorded and the results are shown. So fruits per tree, yeah, so those trees that had one, there were two. Those trees that produced three, there were five, and the like. So fruit per tree. So this is what they have given you. Then the question says calculate the standard deviation, and this question in the exam, ECZ exam, will always be carrying 6 marks, so you can't afford to lose that. So if you want, remember they have not given you the range there. So meaning, are you going to find the mid value? No. So right away, the mid values, those are the same values you are going to take as your mid values, or the values of x. So your values of x will simply be 2, you just get that, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's what you're going to have. Remember, in the next column, you're supposed to have the frequency. Then in the next one, you multiply the frequency times the value of x, the mid value there. All right. Then in the next one, what are you going to have there? So you can simply have, x raised to the power 2. And of course, there you can have the product of the frequency and the value of x squared. So that is what you can simply do. So there's no problem when it comes to that. So let's see how we can go about there. I know different people are going to arrange them differently. It doesn't matter as long as you are conversant with it. Yeah, but this one becomes easy. Let me show you. So where are we getting the frequencies? Remember, the frequencies, you just tap those. So for those fruit trees, 2, it was 1. So 5, 4, 6, 10, 16, and 18. So we are just getting that. That is what we are having there. Then the next thing that you're going to do, remember, like I told you, don't waste time in the exam. If you're able to see on my calculator, that is good. So this one indicates that you need to multiply f and x there. So it is, what is 2 times 1? It will simply give you, a 2 there. So that will give you a 2. 3 times 5, that will give you a 15. 4 times 4, that is a 16. 5 times 6, that is a 30. Please, you can use your calculator. 6 times 10, that will give you a 60. And when it comes to 7 times, we can talk about 7 times 16. So 7 times 16 will give us 112. Then that is going to be 8 multiplied by 18. That is going to give us 144. So that is what we mean there. All right. So you go to the other column there. It says x squared. So it's the value of x, but you raise it to the power 2. So it is 2 raised to the power 2. That is going to give me a 4. Please don't start wasting your time. The moment you say, 2 raised to the power 2, it gives you 4. Right away, this 4 multiplied by the frequency. So multiplied by the frequency. Remember, the frequency, I've put them in black. So multiply by 1. So that gives you the number in there, which is going to be a 4. This will ensure that you don't waste time in the exam. The next one is simply 3 raised to the power 2. If you're able to see on my calculator, I'm simply getting a 9. 9 multiplied by 5. That gives me a 45. I'll go to this one there, which is 4 raised to the power 2. That is a 16. 16 multiplied by 4. That is going to give me a 64. I'll go to the other one, 5 raised to the power 2, which is simply a 25. But 25 multiplied by 6, that gives you a 150. You can see I'm doing this one and that one simultaneously at the same time so that you don't waste time. I'll go to that one. It is simply 6 raised to the power 2, the value of x squared, that is 36. So 36 multiplied by 10, that will give me a 360. So multiply by 10, in this case 360. The next one is 7 raised to the power 2, that gives me a 49, but 49 multiplied by 16, that will give me a 784. That is what I'm going to have. I hope you're able to see on what I'm doing on my calculator. The next one is 8 raised to the power 2, that gives me a 64, but 64 multiplied by 18, that gives you a 1152. So you can see I've quickly filled up the table. It is not actually complicated. So the next thing that we are going to do there is that remember, you need to find what is the summation of x. So we use this sigma, the symbol for sigma. That symbol stands for or means sum of. That's what it simply means. So that's the sigma symbol. So what is the sum of the frequency? When you add the total frequency, it should be equal to that. So the total frequency, when you add all this, you are going to get a 60. Again, you need to find the sum of fx. So what is fx? So we need to add that. Then the other one that you need to know is the sum of fx squared there. So let's try to add that. So if we try to add that, that is going to give me 2 plus 15 plus 16 plus 30. Sorry, that is plus 30 plus 60 plus 112 plus 144. So that is going to give me a 379. So here I'm going to have 379. Then we go to the last one there and try to again add this. So it will be 4 plus 45 plus 64 plus 150 plus 360 plus 784 plus 1152 plus. All right, that's so we say equals. So that is going to give us in this case a 2559. So once you get this is what you needed to have. I hope you have followed me. So once you do that, the next thing that you need to do is simply to find the mean. So that's what we do. So remember the mean, that's the first thing. So find the mean. So the mean is simply the sum of fx. So you get your fx divided by the summation of the frequency. So what is f of x? The sum we found 379 divided by the frequency, which is 60. So if you divide, in this case, if you divide 379 divided by 60, it is giving me a value that looks like this, that 6.31666. Now remember, in the exam where they have not specified, they tell us to leave two three significant figures. So you count 1, 2, 3. So look at the number in front after the 1. It's more than 5, so you add there. So it will be 6.32. So that will be 6.32. So that is going to be our mean. Now once you get your mean, now what you definitely need to do once you get your mean is very simple. Remember, when you are using this format here, the formula that you need to apply is a formula which has the sum of the frequency and x squared, the frequency, and that's what you need, and also the mean. So the formula that we apply, which they give you in this case for standard deviation, it is going to be the sum of fx squared divided by the sum of the frequency minus the mean raised to the power 2. But whatever you get, you divide, you find the square root of that. So the standard deviation is going to be what is the sum of fx squared that we got. So remember, we got a 2559 divided by the sum of the frequency, which we know is a 60, minus what is the mean that we got. If you remember, we got a 6 point, you can refer back, so 6.32. So 6.32, but this raised to the power 2. Whatever we get, we are going to come and find the square root. So the standard deviation, so the first thing that you start, divide this one there. So that is what you do. So that is going to be 2559 divided by 60. So if you divide that 60 into that, it is simply going to give you a 42.65 minus. Then what are you going to do next? You simply say 6.32 raised to the power 2. So that is going to give me, if I just write the whole value, 39.9424. Of course, you can round it off just to 3 significant figures. Remember everything in the square root. So you first of all work out that. So it is going to be 42.65 65 minus 39.9424. Right? So that is going to give me, so my standard deviation there, 2.6776. Then we find the square root of that. So therefore the standard deviation, so we get the square root of that. So what is the square root of our answer that we have there? Okay, so I'm having 1.636337 and so on, but we just need to leave it to 3 significant figures. So count 1, 2, 3. So here, this is where they want us to end. Look at the number that follows. If it is 5 and above, you add 1, so it will be 1.64. So it will be 1.64. So this is your standard deviation. So this is the answer that they wanted you to get. So basically, it is not complicated. Don't try to complicate it. But what is important is simply for you, to practice and see which method is workable for you. You can't afford losing the 6 marks. Please, if you like what I do, you can subscribe and like the video so that we can continue to produce more videos. Thank you so much. Watch out for my other videos.